Hey everybody, welcome back to the Grognards Corner, and we are on part 5 of our look at the Advanced Tobruk System from Critical Hit Incorporated, playing the scenario triple play from the ATS Briefing number 2. We're going to be looking at the final segment in the turn order phase, the 4th segment, which is the end of turn segment. Went ahead and shifted the camera back over to the left flank, and if you kind of remember from previous playthroughs, we had an Israeli squad that had been here and had ended up taking a lot of fire and ended up breaking, so I had them fall back into this building here, and as I kind of mentioned last episode, the Arabs just kind of rushed over the wall, started occupying buildings and all that good stuff, and the Israelis are trying to put up some fire on them. It's kind of how I envisioned the flow of battle to go. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens from here on out. Both sides are basically going to be in buildings, and it's going to come down to who can put out the most firepower and whose dice rolls are going to come down to the wire first. But anyways, wanted to get into the end of game segment, just give everybody an idea how exactly that works. And the end of turn segment pretty much is you start by removing any melee, overrun, ceasefire, movement arrows, flares, 2 smoke, and F markers. So basically it's the administrative step where we go ahead and we take off all these, most of these administrative markers. If there's smoke that's out there, level 2 or strength 2 smoke would get flipped over to strength 1. We have all these movement and fire markers that get removed. If bunch of markers everywhere. If you have a fire for effect marker, it gets flipped over to its call for fire side. And you can't see me off camera, but I'm getting all the rest of the markers from the other flank and removing them. So after that's all done, then you actually start looking into what's next. There is a limited fog of war. The game does have a limited fog of war. I did not touch on it at all during my playthrough, mainly because it just really didn't come into play. This is when you go ahead and stick your fog of war markers back on. You flip vehicles that are out of line of sight over to their fog of war side. Heavy weapons, ordnance gets flipped over. And pretty much after all that's done, then you start looking into rallying broken units and intimidation and seeing if units surrender and all that good stuff. Now, most people, when they're playing games, are more familiar with the rally phase being at the beginning of the turn. ATS does it kind of ass backwards. They do it at the end of the turn. So here we are at the end of the turn, and basically any units that are broken or surrendered, and I didn't touch on surrender too much. Surrendered is a state that occurs that if a broken unit is broken again, fails a morale test and broken again, then they surrender. And they're eliminated. Surrendered units are eliminated at the end of the turn, but they do have one chance to change from a surrendered to back to broken, and that happens during this end of turn phase. Not something I need to go over. We didn't have any units surrender. It does happen on occasion, but did not happen during our playthrough. So what we need to do now is both sides do this. They kind of do it simultaneously. There is no initiative for this. So we go ahead and look right here. We got this guy right here who's got the casualties and the broken. Now, unfortunately, we can't rally him because you have to be stacked with a leader. He is not stacked with a leader, so we cannot rally him. So, but we'll go ahead and look over here. We've got a broken unit over here. So let's take a look at this. And I got a new little tray because I'm sure everybody was getting tired of looking at my fingers. And let's see if we can actually get this to zoom in. Come on. I do not know why my camera doesn't want to zoom in. Oh, well. Anyway, there we go. So we've got the 447 with the light machine gun that's broken. They've got a 245 half squad, and we've got the leader. Now, that is a officer because he's a 118. So now when you're doing a stack and you're rolling morale, you always start off with officers and NCOs first, then the rest of the squad. So, but we've got this guy right here who is broken. So we have to take a look at their morale. It's 7. And an officer gives them a +2 shift, so they're now looking at a 9. And if you remember, we have that morale support range of everything that's within the 6 hexes around you. Well, if you remember, you get a +1 from any full squads. Well, these guys won't count because they're only a half squad, but this stack right here has got 1 full squad. So that gives them a further +1 modifier. Now you notice this guy's also got a leader here. Unfortunately, only one leader can provide their morale regardless of how many leaders there are adjacent or next to them. So we're looking at a 7 because that's the morale, 8, 9 for the leader, and 10 for the support squad that was in the hex right next to him. Now you would think that would be an automatic morale check because it's a 10. You can't get any higher than a 10 on a dice. However, unfortunately, a 10 is kind of like an automatic failure, so we have to roll it anyways. So we go ahead and roll it, and it's a 2. Yay, they made their morale check. So that means that broken marker is removed from play, and that squad is put back into good order. We'll go ahead and put these guys back on the map. Now we look around if we have any other broken guys. We've got some broken guys way back here. Some guys that took some casualties from the mortars. Now let's go ahead and take a look, see what we've got here. And this entire stack is broken, so this is going to be interesting. If I can... Alright, I thought this way was going to be better. Alright, here we go. So, we've got a reduced squad here that is actually got the casualty marker, and they're carrying the Bren machine gun. We've got a full squad here, but they've taken one step with the casualties, and we've got a wounded NCO. So, now, as I said before, you start at the very top, and officers make their attempts first. We have no officers, so we go to an NCO. So we've got an NCO of his morale is 6. He does have the morale support from this full squad, so that's a 7. That's a half squad, so that doesn't give any morale support. And there's no one around them. So we're looking at a grand total of 7 for him. And he gets a 1, so he is back into good order, which is good because if he'd have failed, neither one of the squads with him would have been able to check morale because you have to be stacked with a good order leader. All right, so we go to the next squad, which is the morale 6, +1 for the NCO is 7. That's a half squad, so that doesn't give you any benefits. So we're looking at a 7 to get him back. And, uh-oh, we got an 8. He will not come back. All right, and then the half squad, we're looking... Oh, one thing I forgot. Yeah, okay, it doesn't matter. The half squad, we're looking at a 4, and I forgot to do this for the last one. A casualty marker reduces all firepower and morale by 1. So instead of a 6, that should have been 5 because of the casualty marker he had. So we're looking at a 4. -1 for the casualty marker is a 3. He is stacked with a full squad, which is a 4, and the NCO, which is a 5. And he rolled a 5, so he's good to go. So the way that is going to end up is that this little guy is going to go back into the hex with the casualty marker on it. And he is going to remain broken, where the reduced half squad with the Bren machine gun and the NCO are going to go back into the hex in good order. And that's basically the rally phase. You basically go back and forth, rallying all your guys that are eligible to be rallied. As I said, surrendered units have an opportunity. They get 1 saving grace morale check to come back to broken status, or they're eliminated. And there are a couple other minor things that happen. So that is basically it, and the turn is done. and we're ready to move into turn 3. I do want to go ahead and break out and show how armor is done, and I will do that in a future episode. However, I have got a couple other projects on that I want to get onto the table and get recorded first, so it may be a while before we look at how armor works in the Advanced Tobruk System. But everybody, keep an eye on the channel, and it will be up when it's up. And I want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope everybody continues to watch in the future. Thanks.